Hello, this is Andreas from Nordic Tarot, and I'm here with a love reading for the second half of October. And I just want to mention, as always, that before we get into the readings, that these readings are general and they can't resonate with everyone. So I really hope there is a message for you, but if there is not, I'm sorry. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy your reading. Hi, hello, Aquarius, Sun, and Rising. This time around, your underlying energy is the Strength card. And the underlying energy is this kind of, like, the energy permeates throughout the entire reading, right? This kind of informs what the rest of the reading is about. So, are you going through this like something that you've been using this Strength card for? Something difficult. And it looks kind of difficult. Looking at the rest of the cards here, it looks kind of difficult. But, it's courage, it's being bold, it's that inner strength, right? It's not physical strength, it's inner strength. It's being able to persevere something, getting through it. And, that kind of sets up the rest of, and then that kind of sets up the rest of the reading, like I said. So, at the heart of the reading, or your situation, is justice. So, have you been feeling like injustice recently? These karmic scales need to balance out. It can be about marriages and divorces. It can be about a decision or an apology coming in. But, it kind of looks like there's something tough that's been going on here, and it's crossed by the Six of Swords. And the Six of Swords is a card that speaks of a journey. It's oftentimes an internal journey. It can be that you're traveling somewhere, for example, and probably more of a short distance. But this is moving from rough seas and choppy waters to calm seas. More of a tranquil place, and it's about this journey. And the thing with the Six of Swords is that in a lot of the cards it shows these six swords in the boat, right, and they're like stuck on the boat and kind of obscuring your vision as to where you're going. But if you were to remove the swords, then the boat would sink. So it is kind of this thing that moving on despite all these swords, right, and trying to reach that more prosperous or calm place. But why is the Six of Swords crossing justice? Is this what you're doing now? Did this justice happen, or maybe you thought you were, or maybe you felt you weren't treated properly, or this injustice, or some form of justice was happening, and now you're like, I'm gonna get in my boat and I'm out of here because I don't want to deal with this, or I'm done dealing with this. It can be like, okay, it's not like the Eight of Cups where you're emotionally done and you're like, okay, I'm just gonna move on. This is more like, because there is a low level of grief associated with the Six of Swords, then I feel like it's more that something happened and it wasn't great, and are you then moving away from that? This could also be that this justice card energy is happening currently, but you are not yet moving away from it. Maybe you haven't begun the Six of Swords journey yet. Now, moving on to your past energy, you have the Two of Pentacles. The Two of Pentacles is like a hard-working card. This is someone who puts a lot of effort and focus into what they're doing, because look at this guy, he's juggling these pentacles, he's even on a unicycle, and that requires a lot of focus and attention and effort to kind of keep these pentacles in the air. And another thing about this card is that he has got his back to the ocean, or this body of water. And water in the tarot, of course, signifies our emotions. That's what our emotions are, like swords are thoughts. So this guy is got his back to this water, and the water looks quite agitated, and it can be that it's something we're not paying attention to. It can be that we maybe we don't want to pay attention to it. But like, one of the things about the Two of Pentacles is that, are there areas of your life that you might be neglecting or not paying as much attention to? And I wouldn't say this for very many other signs, just the air signs really. I think that I feel like the messages I'm getting, this can also be you as an air sign Aquarius detaching. And this can be you as an air sign Aquarius detaching, not wanting to look at the emotions. Like, no, I'm just going to focus on this. And maybe the effort and the focus, it can be that you put that effort and focus into another area of your life. For example, work. Or it can be that it took a lot of effort to detach. I don't necessarily think it's the latter, because as air signs you are very good at detaching anyway, so I don't feel like it would take a lot of effort. But were it to take a lot of effort, then I feel like this must have been quite a huge thing that you've gone through. And this kind of energy has then brought us to the present with the Four of Cups, which again can be about not wanting to look at something, or not being able to see something. It's a card that speaks of apathy, of just like, I don't care, it's being stuck and like not wanting or not being able to move. It can, like I said, be someone who doesn't necessarily notice something or doesn't want to look at something as well. Like, it speaks of someone who is so focused on these 3 cups that they have, and being so focused about what they are lacking that they don't notice energies coming in or offers coming in. Like, what's being offered in the Four of Cups that isn't being noticed is the Ace of Cups, which can be new love, can be an offer of love, for example. And I kind of feel like the Four of Cups, which was arrived at through the Two of Pentacles kind of energy, it feels like a quite important cycle to try and break. And like, the reason I say this is because in the future you have the Three of Swords. So it just feels like this is something that, like, you don't want to watch this, or you don't want to look at it, you don't want to acknowledge it, you don't want to deal with it maybe. Which, like, honestly doesn't sound incredibly Aquarian to me. Most of the Aquarians I know are very like, well, I'm going to do this and just get out of my way. Because like I said, in the future we have the Three of Swords, which is past issues. This is emotional baggage. This is something that's happened in the past, and that is still with us. You know, I'm sure we all have something like someone said to us in the past, maybe even in like our childhoods, and then maybe we live for 40 more years, and that thing is still with us because it hurt us, and it's like had an impact on our spirits or our souls or just our personality or the way we look at things. And that's the kind of thing the Three of Swords is talking about. This is something that's been with us for a long time. It's not a fresh wound, it's an old wound. It's something that is difficult to deal with. And when I look at this, seeing the Justice card crossed by the Six of Swords, which is moving away from some kind of past grief. And that's the reason I mentioned that maybe you're not on the Six of Swords journey yet. Because in the past, Two of Pentacles, someone who's very focused and might be neglecting some part of their life. The Four of Cups, someone who might not necessarily be seeing something coming in, or are very, like, they feel very stuck and like just looking at what they have and just acknowledging what they're lacking and kind of not being able to move from there. But then in the future, that just leads to the Three of Swords. And of course, the Three of Swords is just a potential future. The Three of Swords is not set in stone, of course, like we're free will beings, right? So you can change something. Like maybe you do something with Four Cups energy, maybe you look up and see that fourth cup. It doesn't mean you have to accept it, but, you know, at least it's there and you know it, and, you know, but it looks like some cycle that needs to be, it just looks like a cycle that might need to be broken, because it looks really tough. This looks painful. And I don't know, is the Three of Swords to do with past relationships? Is this how you were with someone in the past, and then what happened? Is that person the Justice card? And you don't want to deal with the grief, maybe? And I'm not saying it's like that, I'm just saying I understand if some of you were to feel like that. And in your crowning energy, or the advice, you've got the Empress. And the Empress, you know, she can be very feminine and nurturing, and she gives birth to new ideas. And she's often called the mother of the tarot cards, right? Like, she is the mother, and the Emperor being the father. But I don't always say like, oh, this means you want to be pregnant, or you are a mother, or whatever. But it's more like she is motherly, like taking care of people. But you know, like I said, she also gives birth to new ideas, and she has so much power, and she can work toward all these amazing things. And I feel like if you use this kind of Empress energy, then like the messages I'm getting through kind of like that there is a path toward a partner. But I also feel like the Empress wouldn't deal with the Four Cups or the Three of Swords. Like, she wouldn't deal with those kind of energies. She'd be like, oh, no, that doesn't serve me. I'm just going to ignore that. Or no, actually, she wouldn't ignore that. She'd just be like, okay, no, I'm not okay with that, and just move, right? And she is, a very clear thinker to me. I hope it doesn't sound like I'm putting you down for having the Four Cups and the Three of Swords. Like, I definitely understand. And it must be really tough. Honestly, it just looks like some of my readings that I do for myself, to be honest. But now we come to something I think is very interesting here, which is your feelings, which is where you have judgment. So what's going on with that? Because judgment is about acknowledging things that happened in the past, kind of understanding them, accepting them, just seeing them for what they are, and then drawing a line under that and moving, turning around, looking at the future and just being... Judgment is what happens when you get rid of your Three of Swords. That's what I feel like. That's okay, I acknowledge you Three of Swords, I get what that's about, but I'm just going to draw a line on this and I'm going to move forward and move on from this and grow and, finish my cycle in whatever you're doing. And now it's like about reconciling what is this Justice, Six of Swords, Four of Cups, Three of Swords kind of energy when you have judgment in your feelings. Another thing about judgment is that it's a call to arms. It's that there's something that you are going to do. Like, okay, the judgment card is the angels blowing the trumpet to make the dead rise. Like, that's the call to arms. This is about a rebirth, reinventing yourself, accepting your past and everything that's happened, and understanding how that has made you into the person you are now, but just, like I said, accepting that and moving forward, and not letting that weigh you down. But I am also getting these messages about... I feel like the judgment card here in your feelings is that there's just this really strong want to move on from the things that have changed you down in the past. Different ways of acting and being and people that affect you, and just breaking loose from all that and being able to move forward. But then to be able to move forward, you kind of have to acknowledge some of these things. And I feel like Aquarius you do very well at that. I'm not saying it's easy, but I think you'd be good at it. And in your outside influences, you have the Knight of Wands, and the Knight of Wands... Like, I'm wondering who this is. Is it like the concept of the Knight of Wands? Is this an actual person? Is this how you're feeling? Is this how you are feeling? Because the Knight of Wands is, he's very passionate. He comes in and he's all, glitzy, and he's got a great car, or, he's that girl on the dance floor or something. Like, someone that people pay attention to, that they want to be with because he's cool and he's, out there, and he's fun and he's passionate. But then, of course, the flip side to the Knight of Wands is that he's unreliable, or he can be. That just as quickly as he comes in, he just disappears again as well, because he's off to have fun. And is this someone you're dealing with? And this is the outside influences, so this is an energy that's like surrounding your reading and something that's affecting your energies, but something you might not necessarily have noticed yet. And I get this feeling, or like, I just feel a message that the Knight of Wands is, maybe you're a bit fed up with this kind of energy. Maybe like, I'm so done with this, I don't really want to deal with this anymore. And please let me know if that's accurate. That's just something I'm kind of feeling from this. And I mean, that brings us to the hopes and fears, which is where you have the King of Pentacles. And the King of Pentacles, actually, before I talk about the King of Pentacles, I just want to say that yes, he's a king, and yes, he's a man, but even if you're a woman or someone with a lot of feminine energy, in these general readings, you can still show up as the King of Pentacles instead of the Queen of Pentacles. It's more so the energy of the card than the gender of the person, because it is general and trying to cover as many people as possible. So I'm just kind of wondering if this is you, if this is someone else. Like, yes, this is... the King of Pentacles is an earth sign, so it might be a Taurus, a Virgo, or a Capricorn. But more so, I feel like it's more about the stability about this guy. Like, it's more how grounded and stable and kind of like he's a rock. And it's... I don't know, I'm trying to make sense of this because I feel like as an Aquarian, that's not really what an Aquarian would want necessarily, or like someone who's so grounded and like got their feet on the earth, because Aquarius wants to like explore. They want change. They want to just go out and, you know, fly around in the universe and find things and start new things. But like, is this something you're kind of wanting in yourself, to be able to ground yourself a little bit? I mean, that could definitely be it. But I'm getting the sense that this is more so to do with your partner, or is someone you're interested in, or just the concept of whoever your partner would be, that you'd like someone who is maybe more grounded, maybe more like settled, not so flighty. And then that brings us to the outcome, which is the Ace of Wands. And the Ace of Wands is passion, it's excitement, it's, you know, it can be a new project. It can be doing something. It's just getting you like worked up and excited about something. It's like a new adventure almost. But I like immediately feel like this is what the Six of Swords leads you to find this like fire again. And is this something to do with the Knight of Wands? Is this something they bring in maybe? It doesn't even have to be that you're fed up with this Knight of Wands. Maybe that's someone you've not noticed yet that kind of brings this kind of spark in. I just feel like there's some stuff that needs to be dealt with before you reach the Ace of Wands, of course. And it looks like some really difficult things to deal with, and I'm not saying you can just like snap your fingers and it's done. But it also looks like you're trying, like you're on your way with the judgment in your feelings. Like you want to. And it's also requiring a lot of strength from you, like from the underlying energy. But like I said, it kind of looks like a cycle that needs to be broken here, because it kind of just feeds into itself, right? The Two of Pentacles in the past and the Four of Cups in the present, and then the Three of Swords in the future, thinking about past hurt, and that kind of just brings it back, and maybe it just turns into this awful loop. But the Oracle cards you got, from the Oracle of E, you got the Bunny Hop Jive. Whoever said you had to do it alone. It's tea for two time, friendship, partnerships, even party ships are bound your way. It's time to join hands and do-see-do with your sisters and bros. Togetherness brings miracles now. And, like, is this, like I said earlier, is this connected with the kind of Knight of Wands? Is this someone who can come in and kind of provide you with some fire maybe, and some sort of excitement? Because it doesn't really look like there's anyone else involved necessarily. Like, the Knight of Wands is in outside influences, so that's not necessarily someone you've met yet. And the King of Wands is in hopes and fears. So that's more of a concept, or it's more conceptualized. And, you know, we're not seeing the Three of Cups, for example, which is about community and friends and family. But then again, with the Four of Cups, that's what the person in the card is focused on. That this is what I have, and I don't have that next cup. And the cups they have is the Three of Cups, which is, like I said, community and friends and family. So is that something where you can, like, bring support in from? Like, for example, you don't have the Five of Pentacles, which is someone who feels left out in the cold, who feels like they don't have any support. And I feel like if anyone's going to go out and dance, it would be the Knight of Wands. So maybe this is your kind of energy. But from the Wisdom of the Oracle, the card you pulled is the number 49, Observer. The essential meanings are perspective, objectivity, neutral observation from a distance. So this again is like about this detaching, and there's one thing to detach and look at things objectively, and another thing to detach to get away from something, to not acknowledge something. And I think that's kind of what the Observer is kind of saying, like, it's okay to detach if you want to look at things objectively and just understand them for what they are and maybe make a plan from that. But then detaching from something just to avoid it, on the other hand, that's not really going to bring us forward. That's not really going to put us on any sort of path. If anything, that just means we sit down and we end up in the Four of Cups kind of territory, you know? So I think there's some really tough stuff going on, but then you do have the Empress, you do have strength, you do have judgment. You know, you have Bunny Hop Jive talking about doing things together with other people and getting support from that. The outcome is the Ace of Wands, which is excitement and passion. Observer is even giving you advice about, if you are to detach, then maybe this is a more helpful way of doing it. I really hope things alright, like I said, it looks really tough, and like my heart goes out to you if it's a really difficult situation. And I definitely hope like there's some message or something for you here that kind of helps you in some way, and like the best of luck to you, Aquarius. So that was your reading for mid-October. I really hope that was a message for you, and like I said, these readings are general and it's kind of impossible for it to resonate with everyone. But if it did resonate, or if it didn't resonate and you want some more answers, you have some questions about other like aspects or areas of your life, maybe there's some situation you're in, then you can contact me through my email, which you'll find below in the description box. I'll give you some information about prices and the kind of readings I do. And as always, if you are wondering what kind of decks I've used or anything like that, you'll find most of the information down below in the information box as well. I know I keep changing things up and doing things differently, but I'm trying to find my way of doing it and kind of what suits me, and as well as input from my viewers, of course. But until next time, I hope everything goes well with the messages that were there for you, and if nothing else, I'll see you next time.